Hello, it's Sue from Ully Cat's Designs and Ully Cat's World blog, and I'm here with Karen Burniston's design team for our July blog hop featuring the new release of dies, and I'm going to do one using the boat pop-up as a rowboat. So I have cut the main pieces that we'll need. So to begin with, I have pre-folded all of the score lines, as you can see, and I'm just going to glue the tab. Sometimes the easiest way to get this tab to glue is to put it into this position, because then you can get a nice flat. So we have our basic piece there. There are two of these, and these are going to be the braces that hold up the deck. And the first one scored, the second one, get these folded. And there's score lines on either side of these tabs, but I found you can get by with just folding one. So this is the deck, and I've cut it from wood grain paper. And I'm going to start, so there I've got one, and we'll get the next one in. And then we'll take the next one. You can see I'm just sliding it up through that center slot. Okay. So there are all tabs, and this is going to be what opens and closes the deck. You don't have to glue the center one, but I just kind of like to. Before we glue in the seat, I'm cutting two slots so that you can see on my prototype, we're going to add some people to it. And to do that, we need to put some tabs up through the seat. So I basically just took and drew some slots and used my X-Acto knife or my craft knife to cut them out. And now we're just going to install them. The seat will go in the back half. The narrow part is the front of the boat, but I find it easier to put the seat on when the deck hasn't been installed yet. So I'm going to put some on the front side of that and the back side of that one. And the front of the seat is the part that has that little part that sticks out. I find it easiest to install that side. Just make sure you don't accidentally get glue on more on the deck so it sticks. So that's how that's going to go. This little piece, rectangle folds in half, is the kind of the piece that hides that front tab. It kind of acts like a baffle or the supports to keep that rowboat. You know how there's always bars that go across to help support it. Now I'm going to set these pieces aside while we work on the people. So I've cut out the pieces I'm going to need for the two figures. These over here are for the boy, and these over here are for the girl. I've also cut out some long strips that I'm going to, in fact, this one I have glued together, to make some L tabs that are going to go down into our boat to help prop up the figures. I just cut a long strip, folded it in half, but left enough so I could have a little tab. And while they're drying, we'll work on coloring and constructing our people. So hopefully you can see just how these L supports go. It's kind of the same principle that's in the house and fence pop-up that has the floating floor. So this seat is kind of like the floating floor. I'm taking my Pastel Peach 26, getting some skin tone on and for the girl, I need to make sure I cover all the arms because I want my figures to be thin. I don't need lots of layers by using heavy decorated paper. Color in his hands. Skin tone piece is done. And then to assemble her, she has a lovely blue dress. Now we're not gluing the hair down. The that part of her hair on. For the boy, I've actually started on the back part of his piece. So I'm actually going to trim off these pieces. I'll each of those, and I will do similar for the line on pieces. And actually on this back piece, we're going to I said we're going to cut off that on. Just going to put glue on the back of that. We're going to give him a haircut. And find if we just cut that off. So it doesn't look like he's bald. Now when I put him in the boat, he can be a little bit taller, but you don't want him too much taller. And now back her dress. To glue these in, trim off a little bit there. Glue on the back of his shirt. It's just gonna that, and then I always put him in first because her dress, I don't think he should be sitting on her dress. Trim her post off. It's going to fit up underneath her hair. And I think he's got his hands on her knee. Glue on the back side of her dress. So there. Oops. And I may need to find that brown piece to put back over him. So I've cut another piece of brown paper. And we'll have to give him a new haircut. There they are. Now, her dress is going to catch. I'm going to do is just trim it a bit. It still looks nice, but it's not going to catch. And other thing that may cause a little problem, we should be ready to put all of that in our boat. So we know this is the front, and we know that this taper tab is also the front. So I'm going to put glue just on this tab here. And then I'm going to center what the end of that folded piece right up to that. So that's the part that's glued. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. And I want glue all the way up to that fold line so that there they are. For the card base, I'm starting with a 7.5 by 4 inch piece of heavy white cardstock. I've cut another piece that's 4.5 by 4. And the last piece is 3 3/4 by 4 inches. And I've scored along, this is the 4-inch side. I just want to really burnish that fold. And again, it's about a 1/4 of an inch that I've scored on both of these outside flat pieces of the card. I'm not going to worry about erasing these marks because they're going to get covered by paper. And we're just going to glue our pieces. And they should, for the most part, meet right in the middle. So there we have our card base. So I've got my card base glued together. I've covered my inside base with water paper. Unfortunately, I had to piece because I just didn't have quite enough to go all the way to the end. Outside is covered in a floral pattern paper. So I've taken a very light blue to cover in my white gaps. So the way we install the boat is we fold it down. We're going to place glue just on wood part, and again I want to get it close to that fold as I can. I want it so that the boat will stay in there, and again we'll go right up to the fold with the glue. And this is why I said it's going to be a thick card because of these pop-ups. So the thinner you can use your paper in constructing the boat and your people, the better. And I'm just going to let that dry. I'm going to use the Lorna label pop-up. I cut out this by taking the largest decorator die and taping it together. I have scored and folded the folds. To install this piece, I'm going to temporarily push that in that direction. That fold centered over the fold, and then I'm going to start with my glue. I'm going to push that all the way back. We'll start with 2 tabs. This top one next. Again, just making sure everything is flat. Because if you don't, especially when you've got the center cut out of the Lorna label, it's easy to get this to buckle if you're not careful. So you're trying to keep everything flat, but also making sure you haven't accidentally trapped the point of that. And for the time being, I'm going to put a weight under that, and we'll glue the bottom. Bigger weight on top. So that's dried. I have cut out the words love you from the word set 9, love, out of some heavy red cardstock. I'm just going to glue the top of the L and the bottom of the Y to the frame. I'm centering the O and U over this dip, and then we're going to slowly pop up. So from the boat pop-up set, I have die cut 2 of the little oarlocks and 2 of the oars, and I've gone around the edges of the oars with frayed burlap, and the oarlocks I colored in with a silver mark. I'll put a little glue, and we're gonna slip. To install the oarlocks with the oars, you want to put the oar in first, and then because this is such a narrow card, I'm actually going to put the oarlocks in the front. And then as the card closes up, Karen's got a number of stamps that go with the different die sets. So this set is the Seasons one, and I've taken Happy Anniversary from it. And from the Sail Away collection, I've taken All You Need Is Love and a Boat. I've cut a heart from the crosshatch heart set, and it's the scalloped one, and I've glued it on this side, and I've taken a very small piece of Velcro to Velcro it on, and here we have our boat. Now, because the card is so narrow, there's no logical place to glue the oars, so I have left them free so that when the card is open, they can be adjusted to whatever makes sense for the viewer. We have on our Lorna label, I've added a stamped Happy Anniversary and fussy cut it out and then glued it on top of the banner that's part of the Lorna label set. We have the I Love You floating there. And this is the Happy Anniversary boating card. And as you can see, you do have to kind of tuck the oars back in. It's the only thing about making this a slim line with the oars is that you have to let them be freestanding. You can't glue them to the boat as you would in a much wider card. So that's one thing to think about when you're making the rowboat. Again, all you need is love and a boat. Happy crafting, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.